Now, your forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, a mix of sun and clouds today. More clouds down to the south. That is our roofing dog on at First Bank camera in Charleston. We've had some more shower activity, which is why their temperatures are a little bit cooler down there. You can see those showers now pushing off into Indiana, but Clark County there towards Casey and Marshall had these showers over the last few hours, and all of that moving out. And that's going to set up for a really nice rest of your Monday evening with the lower 70s. But by tomorrow morning, we're talking about the 50s that are going to go ahead and invite you outside on your Tuesday morning and feel very comfortable. But the rest of this week, our temperatures are going to warm up a little bit. We'll let you know when to expect that more summer-like heat to arrive, along with thunderstorms, and we come back a little bit later. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now on WCIA 3 News.
It only works if you wear it. Governor Pritzker's new media blitz trying to convince people to wear a mask in public.
Childcare will be in demand more than ever this fall, where it may cost you more.
Why would anyone snowmobile in downtown Champaign on the last day of July? That's just one of the things police want to know.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 6.
It only works if you wear it.
That's the new tagline for a multi-million-dollar ad campaign, reminding you to wear a mask in public. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini. Governor Pritzker launched it from the state's Emergency Management Agency this morning. It's the control center for the efforts to fight the spread of coronavirus. Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell is live in Springfield tonight. So, Mark, getting the word out is only half the battle.
Yeah, Paul, but how do you enforce it? That's the difference between a rule or a recommendation. And many cities across the country are taking a closer look at that. Some of them already assessing fines for people who just outright refuse to wear a mask in public. But in Springfield, in Illinois, state lawmakers left town back in May and never gave Governor Pritzker that tool to fine a business or to fine a person for not wearing a mask, like you might expect if you got caught by police for not wearing a seatbelt. And that's the point that this new ad tries to make, that by not wearing a mask, you put yourself or perhaps others at risk. Pritzker says the state is using federal coronavirus funds to get that word out, a $5 million ad campaign on the horizon. But if spreading the word can also help stores to reopen safely and bring more of our economy back online, perhaps that payoff could be worth it, the governor argues. And since wearing a mask is still a new habit for so many people, it can't hurt to help remind people, especially if they're forgetful.
The idea here is not to chase people down on the street and say, hey, you're not wearing a mask and I'm going to throw a ticket at you. The first thing is to ask people, remind people. It's often the case people have it in their pocket, they have it with them, or they have one at home, and they've just forgotten. And it's time for them to remember now.
Not wearing a mask in public.
This is no longer a partisan disagreement. Several Republicans, including local lawmaker Mike Murphy, who was a restaurant owner for much of his professional career, is now on board with public health officials. He's urging people just wear the mask. When you go out in public, that's one of the biggest things that can help to drive or help restore consumer confidence, giving customers the confidence they need to go back out safely and re-engage in the economy. That's a big deal because right now, just today, the U of I's Flash Index, which measures economic growth, shows that our economy is still rapidly shrinking. And that's something that, in order to restore, House Republican Mike Murphy and several others are saying, look, you've got to wear the mask. It helps businesses do business with their customers and bring everybody back online to try to turn around all of this. But right now in Springfield, Sangamon County, we're seeing those numbers shoot back up. Another reason to wear your mask in public. Paul?
Yeah, very simple advice, and certainly a lot of questions remain about, as you mentioned, the governor's enforcement ability there. All right, Mark Maxwell in Springfield tonight. Mark, thanks. The positivity rate up to 4% over the last week in Illinois. Over 1,400 people are in the hospital tonight with COVID-19. There are almost 1,300 new cases, which puts the state over 183,000 infections. 10 more people have died, bringing the death toll over 7,500. Here's some new information now. Students at the U of I won't have to worry about returning to campus for the entire fall semester. That's because they'll have a combination of in-person and distance learning when they return. But November 20th will be the last day of in-person instruction. After Thanksgiving break, the school will exclusively start remote learning. Students say they support that decision.
It would just be the most safeguarded measure to ensure that there's not a lot of contact.
U of I is encouraging anyone who's already on campus to get tested. All faculty, students, and staff who plan to be on campus have to be tested for COVID-19. Those who are involved with on-campus activities will have to be tested twice a week. The Champaign Federation of Teachers released a statement criticizing Champaign Schools' framework for reopening. The union said it does not endorse the guidelines because they aren't safe enough. The union says the plan, quote, introduces even more exposure than the first one. Champaign School Superintendent Susan Zola says they've been meeting with CFT leadership for the past several weeks to address concerns. For many school districts with blended learning options, a big question is what parents will need to do with their kids when they're not in the classroom during what's considered to be a quote-unquote normal school day. The Mahomet Seymour School District is working on an answer to that. WCIA 3's Jen Last joins us live from Mahomet tonight. So, Jen, what is that district planning to do?
Well, Paul, they're looking at expanding the hours of the before and after school program Kids Club, which is for kids K through 5. Now, in order to do so, they are also looking at raising the rates by $1, for example, for the before school breakfast, other rates as well. And it's also opening up hours for parents to drop off their kids during the school day on Mondays, which will be remote, and for the half days, the other parts of the week. The district says it's raising those costs in order to meet what they're anticipating to be a greater need for childcare. And we have all of those different rates being offered on our website, WCIA.com. Now, the board is also set to be going over an anti-racism resolution that has been in the works throughout the summer. It's going to address curriculum, hiring, and professional development if it's passed. This meeting is set to begin at 7, and we'll bring you the latest updates on what happens. Live in Mahomet, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
All right, Jen, thanks. We'll look forward to that update later tonight. A man in Springfield is dead after he was shot in Montgomery County. Deputies were called to a home in Witt near Vermilion and 3rd Streets. That's where they found 36-year-old Jason Newell dead. Alan Freyer and another man were both home at the time and were taken to the sheriff's office for questioning. Deputies have released one of the men, but Freyer is still being held there. A snowmobile was taken, and there's video of someone riding it down the streets of Champaign. WCIA 3's Jamie Mays has more on why someone wanted to steal it at the end of the summer.
We're kind of in a little bind because we don't have the snowmobile.
That's because the owner says it was stolen and last seen cruising down the streets of Champaign. Robin Christian is the writer, director, and producer at Dreamscape Cinema. He says in January they started filming a movie called A Fargo Christmas Story.
And it featured a girl that comes to Fargo and she kind of feels out, and she learns how to adapt to that area.
The snowmobile was used in the movie.
We ran out of snow earlier this year. It didn't snow as much as we thought, so we've been waiting until November to shoot a scene, and the snowmobile is a vital part of that.
The crew says they left the snowmobile outside of their studio for a few days because they thought it would be safe, but then someone stole it. Friday night, people got video of a man driving it around Champaign.
Some kid drove it up the street right past here.
Initially, it looked kind of funny driving it down the street, but then I realized we still have some shots to get on that snowmobile, so we need it back.
Without it, the movie won't be complete.
I'm kind of worried that parts will have to be cut, or because I don't know how they're going to be able to find one that looks exactly like it.
And once the snow returns, Robin Christian says he hopes to finish what they started.
We're trying to get the snowmobile back so we can finish this Christmas movie, or it won't be on Hallmark.
In Champaign, Jamie Mays, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
They definitely need that snowmobile back. Christian says he reported the missing snowmobile to police. If anyone sees it, he hopes they'll contact law enforcement. How many Illini athletes have tested positive for COVID-19 since getting to campus? We've got those numbers also tonight.
This is a really hard time in our industry.
It's a place where the arts come alive. Why it's lights out at the Krannert Center this fall.
And as we get you a recap of today, the high at 78 degrees, another below average day. We should still be in the mid-80s. 64 is right on the money for the low, though. After the break, we're coming back, talking about some areas that have some rain tonight, but how overall, we've got a lot of cool nights ahead of us, a lot of sunshine as well. We'll also share when things really warm back up again when we come back, so stay tuned.